Right, now we're ready to put in our slab edges that we created as a hosted profile earlier on around the edge of our slab. To do that, just while I remember, don't forget to keep on saving regularly as you go along too. I neglected to say at the end of the last movie to save, but please remember that just like any other application that you might use, you need to continually save. Come into architecture and select the floor pull down, and in that you will have slab edge, and go into that one. Make sure you're picking slab edge 300 by 150, which you would have put into your project in the past videos. Come in on the slab itself, and we want to make sure that we select the bottom line of the slab, and that will put it in automatically, and we can move around the house, zooming in and out. Again, make sure you're picking the bottom one and work your way around the house. Don't just do individual ones. Go from one to the next, and eventually you'll get to this one. And that's the last one we can do on that side because we've got that carport slab, and that's going to drop right down if we put it on there. So we don't want to put it on there at this stage. And I'll show you the reason why in a minute. So we have our slab around there. If I click on escape twice on the keyboard, we're back to our pointer, and you can see that they're all interconnected as they go around. If we come back to our ground floor, we can come in and highlight that slab edge, and when we do that we get these control points. And starting with this vertical one, we can drag that down till we get to the corner of our garage, and the same with that one going across as soon as it goes into a square. Now if we highlight it, you see it's all one all the way around. Okay, having a look at that in 3D, you can see no problems with that at all. Okay, now we want to bring in some thickeners. Thickeners are going to run across each way and help support the slab, but they also will run where there are corners in the house and also under things like where the garage joint is from floor level down to the garage level. So we'll come back into our we want to put these in. Now the way that they go in is we need to pick the bottom edge of our slab thickener. So if we go into floor, pick slab edge again, and in the pull down pick slab thickener this time, 300 by 300 by 50C, and come up to the edge and click on that. Now it's actually put it in along that edge. That's really all we can do, and then we have to move it around. If we come into our footings plan and zoom in, we can see that it's there. If we highlight it, we can then move it across, but we really need to be in the ground floor plan because we need to be able to see where our shed joint is. Okay, now we'll just try and move this across. What's it doing? There we go. And I want to line it up so that joint is right down the middle of the thickener. You can use your arrow keys just to move that around a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfectly accurate as long as it's covering that joint. Now while you're there, what you need to do is, there's a control point for that while that thickener is highlighted. Drag that back till it's in the middle of the slab edge that's going around. Do the same up the other end. You can just see it just there, but you can still see the control point, so I'm just bringing that control point down a little bit like so. Go back to your footing plans, and it's going to be moving back and forth here a little bit, and what we want to do now is to join that into our slab edge because they're exactly the same size, 300 by 300 with a little 50mm corners on them as well. Now the way to do that is to highlight one of them, and that allows us to modify it by clicking on the join button. Then you have to go back in and select it again and select that one. You can see how it's become one there, and it's become one down here as well. The next one we want to put in, again, we've got to go back to our floor plan. It all becomes a little bit moving between one and another. So come back to our 3D, and we want to put a slab thickener in on this end. Should be still up now, slab thickener, so I'm going to put it there. I'm going to go back into my ground floor plan. I'm going to highlight my thickener. I'm going to drag it down, and I want to drag it all the way down to that shed joint. Just got to get my moving tool button there. And you can zoom right in on this. It's probably the best way to get that centralized. The more you zoom in, the more accurate you can be with it. You could measure this off and make sure it's exactly 150 into the middle, but that's close enough. As long as it covers that joint, that's what we're looking for. Again, the same thing is we have to bring these in a little bit for you to be able to join them. Just a funny thing with Revit, a bit of a pain, but it's just one of those more difficult things. Remembering that putting in this slab and these thickeners is probably going to be the hardest thing you do in Revit, so it's quite a start for it. So we join, click on that, join it to the outside, it's joined there. We can also join it to the one that we've got there already as well, and click on that. So we've got that there. Now we want to put two more in here. Now these ones are a little bit more difficult, so I'll come back to my 3D view. I'll put another thickener in along that edge. And I'm going to go this time into my footing plan and select that and move it down. Now what we're trying to do is to get it lining up with this one here, and so the more we zoom in, the better it will be. We can, if we come across here, there is another way we can do it. We can click on that and go move. It will then allow us to click that point, and if we zoom right in, it will allow us to move it up to that point. And that's probably the best way to do that. Okay, so you get very accurate with it then, and that's probably the best way to get that one in. Now we do need to again modify that, so we need to drag that right back over to line up with that, and this one in just a little fraction, and we should now be able to join that in to our external. Let's hope this works, and it did, and we can join it into that one as well. We've got one more to put in across here, same sort of thing happening. We want slab floor thickener, we'll go into 3D, put it on the end there, come back into our footings plan, highlight it, move it down roughly into the area, come down, make sure it's highlighted, click on the move button, and pick the corner of it. And I'll probably put it too close actually, because I might just move that back a bit. Just bear with me a minute. Let's just actually need to move it a bit away from where you want to move it from, otherwise you can't pick that corner to that corner. Highlight it again, bring the controls in so they pretty well line up with the inside of it, and that one in a little bit as well, and then we should be able to click on our join it to the outside, it's joined to right, and join it to our middle joint. So now we have all of our slab edge in, our thickness in. If we go and have a look at that in 3D, it's looking good. We can spin it around. I've got a few lines here. Don't worry about those at this stage. They won't matter. They're just showing where the thickener is and where the slab edge is. If we roll that over and have a look underneath, you can then see what we've done under there. It's probably a little bit. If we go and adjust it just to hidden lines, you can see what we've done there, and that's looking quite good. It's not showing there because it's actually going into the garage slab. Okay, we'll just go back to realistic view and roll that over. And remember, at this stage you should be doing a save. And I want to do that, yes, so I just had a couple of files there, but you should be able to just save and it should just save over without any problems. Okay, so there's our slab, and we're now ready to start looking at putting in our walls. So if you've got to this stage now and you've completed and it looks okay, you've probably done the hardest bit you have to do. The rest of it is not as hard as this, I don't think. I think this is the hardest one to do. So good luck with it. Don't forget to save and then move on to your next group of videos.